Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Stallions Run. I'm, of course, your host, Buck, and let's just get right into it. A lot to talk about when it comes to this week's loss against Houston. Uh, where to really start? Well, of course, Houston, the only team to beat the Stallions so far in this USFL, so somewhat maybe expected a little bit, but at the same time, um, an intriguing loss, especially for a lot of Stallions fans. Penalties were kind of the story of the game. Birmingham ended up with 10 penalties. Houston, well, zero. And that caused a lot of controversy for a lot of people. And personally, I don't blame them. Um, you even had Skip Holtz, something that I had never seen before. He came to the press conference. I was literally in this room watching this happen. I happened to be sitting right next to Moose Johnson. He's literally right next to my right, and Skip Holtz comes in with the challenge flag, and I think that was a very intriguing note. While in the conference, Skip Holtz did talk about the penalties a little bit, mostly giving some non-answers, in my opinion, in regards to how the team should have been a little bit better when it came to them. That part of me has to 100% also mention that flag, bringing that into the conference room, something he's never done before, and something that I'm very interested to see what it will look like next week. You know, that's an intriguing sign if you ask me, and something that, again, if you want to see a picture of it, it's on the Buckham USFL account. Go back to Saturday. You can literally, I took a very nice picture of it. You can see it, and it's, if you ask me, that was Skip Holtz sending a message to USFL officiating on what he thought happened. I guess overall, my personal opinion, I do think Birmingham deserves some of those calls, but at the same time, there were some calls that were absolutely awful, and Houston should have been. There were some calls that Houston absolutely got away with scot free. And did that impact the game? Yes, because this ended up being a one possession game. However, offense and defense didn't exactly help their case either. The defense for Birmingham absolutely let Mark Thompson run through them when it came to Houston. I mean, Mark Thompson seemed like he could not be stopped. He kept going, 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 going. And again, that's on the Birmingham defense. They have to figure out how to bring someone down like that. And that brings up a concern I'm going to talk about later when it comes to running backs. Otherwise, though, the Birmingham offense, I'm going to be a little less mean about, because they were kind of the team that really, like, part of the team that really felt the brunt of those penalties. That I feel, again, I'm not going to say all of them were great. So take that for what you will. But, it's just, if you're taking so many penalties and your offense is starting to get hot, and then you get called on something that takes you back 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, how much can you blame the offense for sometimes? So, just a personal opinion I have there. Though I will say, Alex Magoo felt a little off a little bit. Jay Steinberger was 100% off. Didn't have a catch until late, late, late into the game, and then was ejected during a tussle when it came to officiating. So, just to kind of go to show you how much officiating really played into this game when it came to against Houston. So, I guess to wrap things up, officiating was a problem for Birmingham. That's something that, again, majority calls I think was the Stallions' fault, but there are quite a few that, look, I think everyone will agree were not worth it. That needs to be fixed. Defense needs to figure out how to stop rushing. Offense needs to figure out, okay, if we get a penalty, we can't just stop. We can't just die. So that's kind of my concerns. And now we're looking towards going. The team's traveling to Detroit, Ford Field, where the Panthers have quite a bit of a fan base is building up right now, and you're playing in a true blue NFL stadium, literally blue, I should say. And part of me just has to wonder what's it going to be like this Saturday, because again, that's a crowd that, while Canton showed up to support their Maulers, this is a Panthers crowd that's also very loud, and they make themselves very much known. So that's something I want to see, kind of how we're going to play into this part. again, my main concern right now, the Panthers' offense and defense struggling big time. There's a couple names that are sticking out still that will show up and 100% put in the work as needed. But Reggie Corbin is my big concern when you're looking at this Stallions team coming into kind of this week's game. He is a guy, you give him the ball, like he has said, like there's now an entire shirt about. You give the man the ball, he can take it and he can go run with it. So again, and guess what the problem was for the Stallions this past game? Rushing, letting people just absolutely kind of bulldoze through at random times and allowing those offenses to get hot off of those runs. And that's something that the Stallions are 100% going to have to control with this game. Right now, it seems like the Panthers are in a bit of a quarterback controversy. They don't exactly know what they want, and it's very interesting. You have Panthers fans wanting Eric Berry. You have the Panthers seemingly want to stick with Josh Love. And then you have Carson Strong also right there right now in second string, just also being able to kind of come in and be used. So right now, there seems to be a toss-up with quarterback. Okay, can't exactly decide what we're going to get. Still, though, there's a lot when looking at these Panthers. They've been on such a bad losing streak. Ford Field has been an absolute curse for them. But at the same time, you have to wonder, with a Stallions team that is struggling, you do not want to give the Panthers the chance to get hot. You do not want to give the Panthers the chance to get onto a possible winning way. You want to keep this Panthers team down. So what I think that the Stallions need to do, you need to have a good, strong first and second quarter when it comes to defense. Defense has been having a thing where it feels like they're hot and cold, and especially in first quarters, they're cold, ice cold. That does not need to happen this week. You need to have a hot offense off the start from the coin toss. You need to be hot 100%. And that's kind of my key for this week. I feel like everything is 100% if the Stallions can be hot from the start. You cannot be cold. You cannot instantly go out with an offense and go 3 and out. You have to be able to go. So that's my main concern for the Stallions this week against the Michigan Panthers. An interesting game, like I said. This is going to be kind of, I want exactly, because again, we've already had a road game but this is probably going to be the most hostile road game for the Stallions this season, all the way until the last week of the season when it comes to playing in Memphis. Yes, they're going to be playing week 9 in Houston in Memphis, but you're probably not going to have as many fans for that. You're probably going to have some Stallions fans travel, but still, this is a really, really good test for the Stallions. And if they can win out the rest of the season, I won't be as concerned, especially with that New Orleans loss against Memphis. But still, you cannot let this Panthers team that is down on their luck right now get hot. So that's kind of my word of advice. I'll see you around next week, everybody. Interesting times as a Stallions fan, as we're seeing this team possibly experience some, not exactly say bad luck, but, turbulence is a good word to put it. I'll see you next week, everybody.